session on proper names. And next time we will start Advaita Vedanta on meaning, which is published in the book published by Ramakrishna Mission called Vedanta and its application. So I think Subhashis can send a copy of that book. Do you have a copy of that book?
I have a personal
Subhashis?
hard copy, and I will share that link, and I will figure out if there is any soft copy, means shareable soft copy.
Or what you can do, you can Xerox it and send it to others.
Okay, yes.
Just that will be simpler. Simpler, it will be just Xerox the copy. It will be, it is 11 pages, I think. So it will come to 6 pages in Xerox, and then you send it. All right?
Okay, sir.
So now I am starting the concluding session, my theory of proper names. I pointed out before the uniquenesses of parts will explain the uniqueness of the whole. So unique, everybody got uniqueness, and that uniqueness is due to the uniquenesses of parts. And each part got its own uniqueness, and that uniqueness is due to the uniquenesses of its parts. In this way, you come to atoms which are unique, and Anta Vishesha is the term used by the Nyaya philosophers. So I am claiming that uniqueness, every object has its own uniqueness. And 2 other theories we rejected. 2 other theories were that one was Jagadisha's, that uniqueness is to be explained in terms of identity. And another theory was that uniqueness the third view of proper names is associated with Raghunatha Shiromani, a follower of Navya. He claims that each object has its uniqueness, so there are infinite number of uniquenesses. And I am claiming in between these 2 theories. One theory is that it is to be explained in terms of identity, and another theory is that there are as many uniquenesses as there are objects. So Raghunatha postulates infinite number of entities. He goes against the Nyaya view. And I am claiming that there is no need to go against the Nyaya view, that each atom has its own uniqueness. So that uniqueness can be explained or in terms of the uniqueness of the whole is to be explained in terms of the uniqueness of the parts. So these parts in turn determined by the uniquenesses of their parts, and this process goes on until we arrive at the irreducible parts of a system. So every system got some irreducible parts. In science also, every system has its irreducible parts. If the irreducible parts are visible objects, then each minutest visible object has a uniqueness. And the objects which are constructed out of such irreducible parts are determined by their uniquenesses. Another way of describing this situation is to consider a function as a many-one relation. This is a set theoretic concept. Function is a many-one relation, many-many relation, one-many relation, one-one relation. This is the set theoretic concept of function. So I'm using many-one theory of function. So it is a many-one relation. This is also an explication of the concept of determination. The uniquenesses of the parts are in the domain of many-one relation, and the objects such as Honolulu or the body of a person such as John is in the counter domain of this relation. So many-one relation, so many are in the domain and one is in the counter domain. In this context, it is to be noted that our domain counter domain distinction is relative to a context of discourse. So it is relative to the context of discourse. What follows from this view is that the uniquenesses of a whole is explained. Anybody got a question? Somebody spoke?
No, sir, you continue, sir, please.
Okay. Moreover, this view gives us a criterion for identifying the referent of a proper name in terms of the uniquenesses or the properties of its parts without postulating a separate irreducible uniqueness for the whole. So I am claiming in between the two extremes. It seems to me that this explanation of the uniquenesses of an object is in accord with Kripke's rigid definite descriptions, which are given in terms of structural properties of objects. So Kripke claimed that in terms of structural properties, if you explain an object, then it is a necessary and sufficient property for determining it, and it is in all possible worlds. So he gives the example, gold is a metal with atom 79. So that will give you the structural properties of gold, and it is present in all possible worlds. So proper names are rigid designator and structural properties explained in terms of definite descriptions are also rigid designators. So only two types of rigid designators are there. Now the question is whether the property of being John, which is explained in terms of the uniquenesses of its parts, is to be included within the meaning complex of the term John. On this point, we can follow either the mainstream of the Nyaya view or the view of Raghunatha Shiromani. If we follow the latter, then the meaning complex of John would not include the property of being John. According to Raghunatha, meaning complex includes only the object.
Object, yes.
Yes, only the object. It would be considered as something which fixes or indicates upalakshana, the referent of the word John. So upalakshana means indicator. It indicates. If we follow the mainstream of the Nyaya philosophy, then unlike Kripke, the Nyaya would include the property of being John, which is explained in terms of the uniquenesses of the parts of John within the meaning complex of the word John. But if we follow the mainstream Nyaya, then uniqueness is to be included. So the word John refers to John as well as the uniqueness of John, which distinguishes John from every other object. This would give us the reason for applying a proper name to the object to which it applies. In spite of this difference, both Kripke and Nyaya would agree on some other points. Both of them have emphasized the baptism ceremony. So, baptism ceremony has been emphasized by Kripke, but it has been emphasized by the Nyaya philosophers long time ago, 400-500 years ago. And the intention of the name giver, which sets up the relation between a proper name and the object referred to by it. Intention of the speaker. So, what Kripke is saying, Nyaya has included long time ago his view or the view similar to Kripke. One is baptism ceremony and another is intention of the speaker. But the Nyaya would insist on the method of identifying the referent of a name. This epistemic condition, according to Nyaya, is to be included in the meaning complex of a name. That is an epistemic condition. How to distinguish an object from other objects. This epistemic element is analogous to the Phrygian element of sense. I am claiming this epistemic element is analogous to the Phrygian conception of sense. So, sense in the sense of mode of presentation of the object is to be included in the meaning complex of the Nyaya. That which distinguishes the referent of a proper name from all other objects. And in this context, I would like to point out Goldman's view that Judy is crossing the street today. Judy is crossing the street. And tomorrow, which is true, Judy is crossing the street. So it is true and you saw it. So it has some sort of support and you believe it. So it is a case of knowledge in the standard sense. But Goldman claimed it is not a case of knowledge. Tomorrow, her twin sister, Trudy, is crossing the street. And if you claim Judy is crossing the street, then you are making a false statement. That means you have not realized some unique property of Judy. But the Naiyāyika view is that the referent of a proper name is the object itself as well as some mechanism for identifying it. This epistemic element is analogous to the Phrygian element of sense. Hence, the Naiyāyika view contains both the Kripkean and the Phrygian elements so far as the meaning of a proper name is concerned. So it reconciles the view of Frege with Kripke. Kripke claimed that all the previous views are false. He makes a very big claim that they are false. And then he proposes his theory. And he claims that it is not a theory, but this is what we do. We baptize an object and we have the intention that this object is to be referred to by this name in future. That is the intention. Now, Naiyāyika reconciles the view of Kripke with the view of Frege. So, I am claiming that Indian philosophers can reconcile some of the views, conflicting views of Western philosophers. So, hence, the Naiyāyika view contains both the Kripkean and the Phrygian elements so far as the meaning of a proper name is concerned. Instead of being incompatible with both the Phrygian and the Kripkean elements of meaning have been combined in the Naiyāyika concept of meaning complex of a proper name. So we have achieved something new. What is conflicting view in Western philosophy has been reconciled by the Naiyāyika view. And we come across several views of proper names in the Naiyāyika. So if you emphasize the concept of Upalakshana of Raghunatha, then any referential definite description can be treated as pravitti nimitta of a term. And thus we can reconcile the conflict between the description theory of proper names and causal or historical explanation theory of proper names. Now, referential theory, Kripke insisted on referential theory. And Raghunatha has said similar things. So, Nyaya philosophers are not in conflict with Kripke. And I pointed out that referential theory is applicable in 4 cases. Who is Aristotle? The teacher of Alexander the Great. In this world, it is true. But in another possible world, Aristotle might not have been the teacher of Alexander the Great. 1. So it holds good in this world, but in another world, it does not hold good. Second one, who is John? The person who is holding the glass and drinking champagne. He is holding the glass, but he is not drinking champagne. So it is partly true, partly false. But you can pick up John by that description. Third one is, which one is the house of Devadatta, Raghunatha, where crows are sitting. Next moment, crows disappear. But you figured out which one is the house of Devadatta. Third one. It is a very contingent property. It is a property, but very contingent. It lasts, for example, a few seconds. Then, in a movie theater, 2 persons are there. One is male, another is female. Towards male, the volunteer says, you can sit here. And regarding female, the volunteer says, your wife can sit there. Now, she is not his wife, but everybody understood who has been referred to by the word, your wife can sit there, which is not at all true. But everybody has picked up who has been referred to. So the concept of referential definite description is also present in the Nyaya view. So I am claiming that Nyaya has reconciled the view of Kripke with the view of Frege. And there are different views of proper name in the Nyaya system. So I am summing up the Nyaya view today. One, I started with Frege. And I pointed out that there are some arguments in Frege for the sense of a proper name. Although he has not defined clearly what a proper name is. he has included ordinary proper names as proper names, definite descriptions as proper names, indexicals as proper names, and sentences also as proper names. Because they refer to truth value. And I have given arguments, 4 arguments have been given for proper names. One is A is B, A is A, another is A is B. If both of them are true, the morning star is the morning star and the morning star is the evening star. Both of them are true, then you cannot distinguish them unless you postulate sense. Second argument is, how do you identify the referent of a proper name and distinguish it from other names like Aristotle and Plato? He claims that we have to postulate sense to distinguish one from another. Third argument of Frege admits meaningfulness of the heavenly body which has the greatest distance from the earth, or the series with the least convergence. You can have the King of France, which is false, but it does not refer to any object. False means it does not refer to any object. According to Naiyāyika, it is also a sentence and it does not have the value true. But they are meaningful expressions. The present King of France. So it has a meaning, but no referent. And that meaning is the sense. And then another argument for the sense theory I have constructed from the remark about the indirect discourse. In an indirect discourse, according to Frege, we do not refer to any customary nominator, but we refer to the sense. In belief context also, we refer to sense. And when we quote somebody else, we refer to sense. And Dammit has criticized this view, but I have not. And I defended this view. So in Frege alone, we have uses of the word sense in 6 senses. One is that it is a mode of presentation of the object, which is the referent of a proper name, or it is the manner in which a name designates its referent, or the manner in which an object is presented to us. And I have given quotations also. The numbering of, these numbers referred to where he has said. The sense of a proper name contains the manner and context of presentation. The sense of a proper name is grasped by everyone who knows the language. If you know the language, then you grasp it. It illuminates the nominatum or the referent if there is any. It also claims that the sense of a proper name belongs to the nominatum if there is one. The step from the sense of a proper name to its nominatum is determinate. In other words, the sense of a proper name determines its nominatum. Now, these 6 ways of explaining sense are not compatible, and that I have pointed out. So in Frege also we have some conflict regarding the sense of a proper name. And I have taken for the Naya view, it is a mode of presentation. Something which distinguishes from others. And then I have explained Russell's view. And I found that Russell also has talked about proper names in 6 different ways. A proper name is a simple symbol, he claimed. It cannot be eliminated from a sentence in which it occurs. It is on page 299. A proper name can only occur as a subject in a proposition. He calls it as a subject. The meaning of a proper name is its referent or the particular it denotes. Then 5th one, we cannot know the meaning of a proper name unless we are acquainted with its referent or the particular it denotes. Mona? All right. And the 6th one is the understanding of the meaning of a proper name does not involve understanding a proposition in which it occurs. And I have classified it. The first 2 theses may be taken as linguistic or syntactical characterization of proper names. Syntactical. You have the distinction between syntax, semantics, and pragmatics. Syntax deals with the rules of formation and transformation of expressions. Semantics deals with what an expression refers to. And pragmatics includes everything else. So first 2, I'm claiming linguistic characterization. 3 and 4 as semantic characterization. What it refers to. And the last 2 as epistemic characterizations of a proper name. Epistemology deals with thought. That means belief, knowledge, desire, all these. Epistemology. So I have characterized his view as epistemic, linguistic, and semantic. So there are 6 views. And then I have discussed Kripke. Kripke claims that all of them are false because proper names cannot be substituted for definite descriptions, or definite descriptions cannot be substituted for proper names. Proper names are rigid designators and definite descriptions cannot be substituted for proper names. And he has mentioned the view of his predecessors in terms of 6 statements. To every object or designating expression X, there corresponds a cluster of properties, namely the family of those properties phi, such that A believes phi X. This is Kripke. And one of the properties or some conjointly are believed by A to pick out some individual uniquely. Hello, Kargi. So, Kripke has summed up the view of description theory of proper names in 6 ways. If most or weighted most of the phi's are satisfied by one unique object Y, then Y is the referent of X. If the vote yields no unique object, X does not differ. The statement, if X exists, then X has most of the phi's, is known a priori by the speaker. And the last one, the statement, if X exists, then X has most of the phi, expresses a necessary truth in the idiolect of the speaker. So, necessary truth as well as a priori. And I have given you some of the meanings of the word a priori and necessary or analytic. I have given you in the past. And he claims all of them are false. Therefore, this view, which equates proper names with a set of definite descriptions, is false. And then he proposes his view. And regarding his view, he claims someone, let us say a baby is born, his parents call him by a certain name, they talk about him to their friends, other people meet him through various sorts of talk. The name is spread from link to link as if by a chain. The speaker who is on the far end of this chain, who has heard about, say, Richard Feynman in the marketplace or elsewhere, may be referring to Richard Feynman, even though he cannot remember from whom he first heard of Feynman or from whom he ever heard of Feynman. He knows that Feynman is a famous physicist. A certain passage of communication reaching ultimately to the man himself does reach the speaker. He then is referring to Finman even though he cannot identify him uniquely. So, Finman refers to Finman even if we cannot identify the referent. And I have pointed out different senses of the word sense. According to Frege, indefinite sense is also a sense. That is why I have claimed incomplete sense. An incomplete sense of a proper name or sense of a name is expressible by an indefinite description, and it is not sufficient for determining the referent uniquely. So it is a mode of presentation, but it is not a unique mode of presentation. Then partially complete sense. This is my view. This type of sense would be sufficient for a particular user of a name to identify the referent in a particular world or possible world. Hence, it can be expressed by a definite description. And then I have pointed out semi-complete sense. This type of sense would give us a necessary and sufficient condition for the identity of the referent in all possible worlds. That one will be the structural property of a sense, of an object. If you know the structural property, then you can identify in all possible worlds. So, and moreover, Kripke's theory can work if we have a complete history of a name, but we do not have complete history of a name. Therefore, it cannot work. So I have pointed out on page 305 that Kripke's theory can work only if we had a complete history of all names and used in our language. And we could also determine the identity of the intention of different users of a name. Complete history of the name and identity of the intention of the speakers. Now I have introduced the view of the Naiyāyika view. And regarding the Naiyāyika view, I have mentioned the old Naiyāyika view. The word cow refers to cow individuals and akriti of the cow and cowness. Then I have pointed out akriti. What does it mean? It does not mean the particularity of particular cows. So I have pointed out here, page 307, the relation between A1, A2, A3, A4. How different parts of the cow are related to each other. And another cow you take B1, B2, B3, B4, how they are related to each other. Then I pointed out that it is the universal parts which are related to each other. Number 3, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, where alpha, beta, gamma represent the types of parts of different cows, the type of parts. And then I have introduced the view of Jagadisha. The term Akriti, configuration, mentioned in the Nyaya Sutra should not be interpreted as the form or configuration of an object. He claimed that the word Akriti, taken in the etymological sense, means that which determines the form of an object. So he interprets Akriti in a different way. So he includes in the word or in the meaning of the word cow, cow individuals, inherence relation, and cowness. Then I have pointed out the relation between Shokko, Shokkota, Avachedaka, Avachedakata. And you have to know these terms. These are technical terms. So you have to know the distinction between Avachedaka and Nirupita. And then I have pointed out Shakkata Avachedaka or Pravritti Nimitta. Pravritti Nimitta is a general term. It is applicable to everywhere. And Shakkata Avachedaka is also a general term. It is applicable to everywhere. But regarding Pravritti Nimitta, the reason for using the term to the objects to which it refers, I have translated as. And Vardhamana Upadhyay has mentioned 3 conditions or 3 elements of Pravritti Nimitta. It is part of the meaning and it qualifies the referent or the referents, and it appears as the qualifier when you remember the referent or referents. And Gadadhara has rejected the 3rd element, and Raghunatha has rejected the 2nd element. So Raghunatha Shiromani has further simplified the definition of Pravritti Nimitta. He is willing to drop the 1st condition of Pravritti Nimitta from Vardhamana's definition of the term. That is to say, Pravritti Nimitta of a term need not be a part of the meaning complex of it. So, which one is the house of Devadatta where crows are sitting? It is not part of the meaning of the term Devadatta's house. Devadatta's house is indicated by the crows sitting on his roof, but it is not part of the meaning. Then I have introduced Shabda Bodha, the distinction between sentence, the meaning of a sentence, and understanding the meaning of a sentence, Vakartha Bodha. That means the meaning of a sentence does not lie in the terms, but the relation between the terms. The table has a book. Here, the table and the book, how they are related, therein lies the meaning. How they are related. How the terms are related, therein lies the meaning of a sentence as distinct from the meaning of its parts. And then I have mentioned that as I have mentioned, the Nyaya system alone, we come across several theories of proper names. And I have introduced Jagadisha, the view of some of the early Nyaya philosophers. And I have mentioned their view. According to some early Nyaya philosophers, including Jayanta, the meaning of a proper name is the object itself. It is like Russell. The meaning of a proper name is the object itself. So, long time ago, Jayanta says something similar to Russell, but no one has noticed. And he wrote in prison. He was a Kashmiri Naiyāyika. Nearly 1,000 years ago, he wrote. But nobody knows that his view is similar to Russell. And he has given arguments for it, and then we have criticized his view. And I have criticized his view if the meaning of a proper name, such as Tom, is the referent itself, then the sentences like Tom is honest or descriptive expressions such as a brother of Tom would not generate any cognition in hearer or the speaker if he is not acquainted with the referent of Tom. If you are not acquainted with the referent, then how does it generate a cognition? Because you are not acquainted with it. So Russell's conception of acquaintance is there. And this criticism will be applied to Russell also. Then secondly, this view of Jayanta and his followers goes against the Nyaya thesis that only a class character or an unanalyzable imposed property, akhanda upadhi, can be cognized without any mode of presentation. And then I have pointed out, since the property of being John has no parts, it is called unanalyzable imposed property. By using the lambda operator, it may be symbolized as in the following way, being John. So, I criticize the view of Jayanta. If you follow Jayanta's view of proper names, then you have to admit that an individual such as John can be presented without any mode of presentation, even if he is mentioned by an expression. We are going against the thesis that if anything is mentioned by an expression, then the cognition of it requires a mode of presentation. This is the Naiyāyika view. So, he goes against the Naiyāyika view. Then I have introduced Jagadisha's view. Number B. One explanation is Jagadisha claimed that it is like general term. As the word cow refers to particular cows, similarly the word John refers to John of boyhood, John of adulthood, John of old age. So, Johnhood we have to postulate, which is common to all the parts. But I pointed out that here in the case of John, sequence is involved, but not in the case of cow. One cow does not depend on another. So, this analogy will not hold. Moreover, we have to postulate innumerable jatis or universals for innumerable proper names. So, I have pointed out that certain objections raised against the view of the Naiyāyika. First of all, this view ignores the distinction between a general term and a proper name. Hence, it fails to explain the difference between the relation which holds among the referents of general terms such as cow on the one hand and the relation which holds among the referents of a proper name such as John. Then I have pointed out this view of Naiyāyika cannot avoid the problem of proper names by treating ordinary proper names as general terms. It simply pushes the problem one step further. Since according to Naiyāyika, everything is nameable, we can name each of the members of the John individual series. So you mention the name, you give a name to John of boyhood, and then it will refer to a series. John of boyhood refers to John of 1 year old, John of 2 years old, John of 3 years old, and John of 18 years old. But then you give names to each of the members of the series and ad infinitum. Hardly one of the consequences of this view is that we have to accept one class character, jati, corresponding to each proper name. Then the second view of Navya I am claiming does not treat proper names as general terms. Rather, it considers proper names as names for particular objects or persons. According to this view, the meaning complex of a proper name such as John would include John individuals and the property of being John, Tadvyakti, and the relation of the latter to the former. And what is Tadvyaktitva? Tadatma Sambandhavachinna John. That is one explanation of Tadvyakti. So it is given in terms of identity. John is John. The second John is Tadatma Sambandhavachinna John. Moreover, I have claimed here the property of being John, which is a mode of presentation of John, is considered as the individual John itself, as the second term of the relation of identity. It goes against the Naiyāyika thesis that there is a difference between an object and the mode in which it is presented to us. It erases the distinction between being John and John. The third view of proper name is associated with Raghunatha Srimani, I claim, a follower of Navya. His view differs from the second view in two important respects. Raghunatha claimed that the pravritti nimitta, or the limiter of the property of being the referent of a term, is not part of the meaning complex of a term. So being John, John refers to John, and being John is a mode of presentation of John. And if it is discussed in terms of identity relation, then there will not be any difference between the referent and the mode of presentation. And he thinks that it is not to be included in the meaning complex of the term John. Being John is not, whatever way you discuss it, being John is not to be included in the meaning complex of the term. Then what it is an indicator.
Sir, I want one clarification here. As I'm understanding it right, when we are taking mode of presentation as the object itself, so can we say, sir, that being John is nothing but Tadatma Sambandhavachinna John?
Now, being John is to be included under the referent, under the meaning of the term John. So John includes particular John as well as being John. And what is the meaning of being John? And so these are included Tadatma Sambandhavachinna John.
Yeah,
That
right,
means
sir, right.
John
thank you, sir.
is
Thank you.
John. John is John. Second one is second John, use of the second John is limited by Tadatma Sambandha. And Tadatma Sambandhavachinna John becomes the mode of presentation of John. Now, there is a difference between a mode of presentation and the referent. But in order to know the referent of John, you have to know the
Mode of presentation.
mode of presentation and in which it is to be included. So, in order to know what is John, who is John, you require a mode of presentation. But if John himself is included in the mode of presentation, then there is a problem. So, mode of presentation is a method of referring to an object. But if mode of presentation includes John himself, then the distinction between mode of presentation and the object which is presented under that mode is to be annulled. Good question indeed. Good. So, I have discussed this view and then I have substantiated the view of Raghunatha. And Raghunatha's view is that there are so many upalakshanas. The merit of this view is that it does not identify the property of being John with John. In spite of this merit, this view is not acceptable to most of the followers of the Naiyāyika. It is claimed that his view violates the law of parsimony. The postulates Nyaya ontology with a manner of irreducible entities. So we are landed with two extreme views. One of them equates the property of being John with John individual as the second term of the relation of identity, and the other one considers it as an irreducible entity, being John. In the midst of this controversy, I would like to suggest a mean between the two extremes without going against any fundamental thesis of the Nyaya. And I have developed within Nyaya system a mean between the two extremes. Because Raghunatha has accepted a lot of entities, innumerable entities. Vishayata as entity, being John as entity, and so on. So, I have tried to explain the uniqueness as the mode of presentation of John, and how to explain uniqueness. I have explained in terms of
Structural properties.
ultimate uniquenesses of the parts of John. So, the uniqueness which is to be postulated as the mode of presentation of John is not something foreign to us, but it is the uniquenesses of the parts. And if you go back to ultimate parts, then Nyaya postulates uniqueness of the atoms or the ultimate parts. Antabishesha. So in terms of Antabishesha, I have tried to explain the uniqueness of the whole. So it is a function of the uniquenesses of the parts. Good question. And I have pointed out that it can reconcile the conflict between Frege and Kripke. Kripke claims that all of them are false. And he proposes what is called historical or the causal theory of names. And I tried to reconcile between them. What I reconcile between them? What are the elements to be reconciled? One is Frege's sense theory. We require Frege's sense theory. Secondly, we require also baptism from Frege. And we require intention of the speaker. So we require mode of presentation, some uniqueness of the objects, and I tried to explain it in terms of Antabishesha, ultimate uniqueness of the atoms or the parts, and I emphasize the baptism ceremony and intention of the speaker also, which are Kripkean elements, and the name-giving ceremony from Kripke, and some mode of presentation for identifying the object. So in this way, Nyaya has reconciled the conflict between description theory of proper names and Kripkean causal or historical explanation theory of proper names. And within Nyaya, we have several views. Some of them are similar to Russell. Some of them are similar to Frege, and some of them are similar to Kripke. And if we accept mode of presentation as identifying objects, then it is a Fregean element, and baptism ceremony of Kripke and intention of the speaker, then we can reconcile Frege with Kripke or his view. So we have achieved something new. What is the newness to be explained? In Nyaya theory, there are several views of proper names, and if we accept Fregean view as well as Kripkean view, then the conflict between Frege and Kripke can be reconciled. All right, any question?
Thank you so much for this long journey, sir. Few months we have been doing it. But if anybody has any question, please, this is the time to ask. Our time
Yes,
is also running out. With sir's time
yes,
is running out.
you can ask questions. And secondly, we are going to discuss Advaita Vedanta theory of meaning, which is my reconstruction after talking to my Panditji. And then I will point out the suggestive meaning in that context.
Sir, some of the chapters from logical section, sir. I want to study descriptions from you. And also, last time we suggested you to go with the empty term, sir. The empty term,
Now,
negation in Buddhist theory of meaning, sir. Part 3 is very important for us, sir, and we are very much interested in part 3.
now the thing is, there are several things to be discussed, and Advaita Vedanta theory of meaning has not been discussed, but I have reconstructed it,
Yes, sir.
and especially Subhashis wanted some Advaita view also.
Yeah, it is
So
the
now, Avinash, you got any question?
no. I don't have any question. I have praise for you because you have spoken the things in such a clear and crystal way, and particularly one I am forgetting. Niti Singh is asking some question that clarifies your views, particularly from the Nabhinaya point of view. Particularly when she says ki when you talk of the Gautam, the person, so he is identified with the proper name, the person, or it denotes the proper, different names of the year. So you have taken the right turn, and that's why it makes it a little bit clear as well.
Yes,
That's
sir. I
Yeah.
agree.
I
so
pointed out within the Nyaya system, there is a mode of presentation which can identify an object. And that mode of presentation will be uniqueness of the whole to be explained in terms of the uniquenesses of its parts.
So
This
this
is
the concept of avachedakta is also included here because the
that's
moment
right.
you say, yeah. So I was just listening it very with a cautiously, and that's why I could understand it. And
This
most questions were
avachedaka,
being explained by
is the uniqueness
yeah,
of the whole.
yeah. So it always reminds me the story from where the avachedakta has come when her wife came here and thrown the earthen pot with smoke. Atra dhuma kutra vahini, and that gave him the right way to understand. Ki mula vachedena,
That's right.
yeah, mula vachedena, yatra vahini tatra dhuma. And so,
Shakha avchedana
yeah,
and
yeah,
mula avchedana.
of course.
Monkey is sitting on the tree.
Mula vachedena vrikshe na kapi, shakha vachedena vrikshe kapi. So this
That's
I
right.
have, yeah.
That's right. So
And
this
Niti was
one,
reminding all these things, and it was giving me a nice memory of the lectures you delivered at Hyderabad also.
so there is avachedaka, Nyaya concept of avachedaka. I have claimed that it is some uniqueness of the individual. And how to explain it? I have tried to explain it in terms of the uniquenesses of the parts, in terms of many one relation. It is a function. So function has domain and counter domain. Many is in the domain and one is in the counter domain, which
Sir,
is the concept of set theory. Now,
Also, sir, as you frequently say that Nyaya is a coherent system, and our understanding of knowledge as Sakhanda Upadhi, that is also coherent with the current understanding of meaning that you elaborated on. So
that's right.
it becomes coherent completely. I mean, the idea of knowledge, the idea of meaning, these all can be,
That's right. They are interrelated. The
sir,
thing is, the Nyaya system, unless you read all of them, uh, it is a holistic system. So understanding of one concept requires the understanding of other concepts. It is a holistic system.
sir, I want to say just a few sentences, just my remarks, that in just one paper, sir, you have responded to Frege, Kripke, Russell, and then Jayant, Jagdish, and Raghunath. Like 6 philosophers you are responding to, and you are also criticizing all of them, whatever they are lacking in. And then, sir, you are proposing your Navya Naiyāyika proposition, because you are also not in agreement with all these Navya Naiyāyikas. So that's amazing, sir. And lastly, what I understood, that when Jagdisha is actually identified Vishesha and Visheshad, and also Raghunath is, uh, you know, proposing lots of infinite categories, and you are also discarding both of the views, that both are the two extremes. So we cannot go with any, because neither we can, make identical these Vishesha Visheshad, nor we can just keep having infinite number of categories. So in between
That's right.
your proposition, your solution, I really am in love with, sir. Thank you so much for making us understand this very critical, and I think one of the toughest papers in this book. So thank you, sir. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
And it is a paper. You can explain it, and you can make a book out of it, or
Yes.
monograph.
One complete book can be written on just this one paper. It's
That's right.
so
You
hard.
can refer to those references. You can read the references mentioned in this paper, and you can elaborate it. That was my aim, but due to life is short, art is long, so I could not do it, but you can do it. You can continue doing, expanding some of my articles in the form of monograph or book.
Sure,
And
sir.
secondly,
We all will continue.
you can try, all of you together, have another volume of my writings, because Bloomsbury has included only some 30 articles, but a lot of articles are not included. For example, the Advaita theory of meaning is not included, which I reconstructed after talking to my Panditji, Guruji. So we developed things which are not in the traditional text. So we are developing these Nyaya and Vedanta systems are developing systems.
Yes, sir.
Of course, other views also can be developed, but we do not have any Pandits to develop this view. Like Mimamsa and Buddhism, my teachers, my guru was well versed in Buddhism, but his book is Vaibhashik Darshana, and it has been reprinted by Motilal Banarasi Das, I think, and difficult to get a reader of that book. So all the systems can be developed. But I focused on Nyaya and bits of Vedanta. And regarding Buddhism, I developed Buddhist theory of meaning and Buddhist theory of negation and Buddhist theory of momentariness and Buddhist theory of suffering.
Yeah, Buddhist theory of negation includes the Apohavad, no?
Yes, Apohavad.
Yeah, Apoha.
Yes.
So it
So
is a little bit difficult because it includes double negation as well.
that's right. And I have interpreted double negation
Yeah.
following the views of
Nyaya.
Naya philosophers.
Yes, sir.
Because Nyaya includes 4 types of negation. And 4 types of negation, there will be double negation, 16 types. Some of them hold good, some of them do not hold good. So one of them I have used for a Buddhist theory of negation. The thing is, life is short, so how to concentrate? Because in Buddhism also, I have explained how to prove that everything is momentary. And what does it mean that everything is suffering? And Buddhist theory of meaning I have developed. I took some time, but somehow I managed to develop. Especially in my paper, Negation and Buddhist theory of meaning.
So you taught us in the Wellington that memory diagram and that recognition diagram. And that article you have explained to us when we were in.
That's right.
So that was also amazing. I wish कि बाकी लोग भी उसको पढ़ सकते आपसे direct.
That's right. Because people say, that everything is momentary, but how to prove it?
Yes, sir.
Dhanyavad, sir, thank you very much.
So nice of you. And next session will be held on, I think, August the 3rd, which is Sunday at 11 a.m. Indian time. And all of you read, yes, Advaita theory of meaning. And Subhashis, you can Xerox the Advaita theory of meaning from the book, edited volume, Advaita Vedanta,
Yes, sir.
published by Ramakrishna Mission, and then you can circulate. Or Nitiji, you can circulate also.
Sure,
So,
sir.
and have you received my comprehensive CV?
Yes, sir. I received it. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Sir,
And
you
you
updated
have,
the latest one, na, sir? You updated it in this year, na, sir?
yes, I sent it to you as you wanted to have it just a few minutes before.
Yes, sir.
the
Because
session
I
started.
had the older one, sir. It was updated in 2021. So in last 4 years, you have published a lot, you have done a lot. So I wanted the latest one, the updated version.
Now you will publish, you will find there articles on truth as well as Panditji's article, which I translated on truth.
Yes, sir, okay. I'll go through it, sir. I just received it.
So there are, I tried to update it. I think you can find out
Mhm.
whether it is properly updated or not.
I'll contact you. Sure, sir.
Okay. It is 43 pages.
Yes, sir, quite now.
Yes. And you will have there all my articles, published articles.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
so
so much, sir.
Okay.
I'm stopping the recording also.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
স্যার সুশান্ত বলছিলাম